Welcome, everybody, to Fantasy Football Today, Thursday, July 24th. And, man, we already have, well, I wouldn't say big injury news. We have breaking news. We don't know the severity. We're going to talk about Justin Fields as of right now, 10:15 in the morning on Thursday. All we know is he was carted off, and he took his shoe off, and let's just call it a lower extremity injury. We're going to recap the rest of our pick-by-pick series. So pick 7 through 12, how to build your roster from pick 7 through 12. We got an important update on Malik Neighbors and his toe and much more. Whew, boy. All right, guys, let's jump right into it here. What are we thinking with the Jet situation, Dave Richard?
First of all, you've got to wait and see just how severe it is. Just because he got carted doesn't mean anything. It's more the fact that it's a possible non-contact injury to his foot. It sounds like it's his foot. That's trouble.
No, now's not the time. This is serious. We shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, seriously. A man might have just lost a year of his career, and you're playing a birthday song?
That was my bad. I did it.
How inconsiderate of you.
Steve's birthday today. We'll sing later.
Yeah, no one gives a damn. Everyone cares about what this means for Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson. And as of now, I'm not moving either of those guys. But, I mean, if he's going from Justin Fields to Tyrod Taylor, is that really a huge drop-off for Garrett Wilson? Yeah, maybe. It's enough to see him move down a little bit. But Breece Hall, maybe it's a little bit better for him without Justin Fields bogarting as much of those carries and short yardage touchdowns. Maybe it helps him, but it's already – I wasn't excited about this offense to begin with. This makes me less excited.
Jamie, what's your take if Justin Fields were to miss time?
It would depend on how much time, but I do think it's encouraging that he was able to get up and stand up, and then the cart was, I think, more procedural than necessary. Mm-hmm. It's always good when you get reports of not just carted. You know, we used to get that all the time. Player was carted off. Well, oh my God, there's a little bit more context to it. Wouldn't surprise me if the Jets made a move. Kirk Cousins probably would make some sense if Fields is going to have a significant injury, but I'm just going to be patient and wait this out. So, any drafts right now, I think you're still drafting them accordingly as if Fields is the guy.
Wow.
But you're not drafting Fields right now as
right.
I would today. Yeah. Still same.
Okay.
In the same spot.
Yeah.
I mean, I would move him down a few spots. There's a chance he doesn't play this year based on this news. Hey, I'm looking at the career numbers for Fields and Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah, it's like identical.
It's both of them have a career 7.0 yards per attempt average. Both of them, Tyrod's at 3.9% for touchdown rate. Fields is at 4%. Completion rate, they're apart by 0.8 of a percentage point. Fields has a higher interception rate. It's really crazy how close they are. So I don't really know if there's a huge difference to run. I don't know if there's a real reason to run away from Garrett Wilson just because Tyrod's the QB. I'd be surprised if they acquired Kirk Cousins unless the Falcons were paying like all of Kirk Cousins' salary for this year.
So Taylor, the comparisons, yeah, that they are, and the completion percentage. Oh, you mentioned the completion. The interception rate was what I wanted to mention. It's actually a lot better for Tyrod Taylor. He has a better career passer rating than Fields, but he's 36 next month. He had 3 years, Tyrod Taylor, where he was the starting quarterback for at least 14 games for Buffalo. And he finished, listen to this, on a per game basis, Tyrod Taylor was QB 7, 9, and 19 in 4-point per passing touchdown leagues, QB 12, 14, and 22 in 6-point per passing touchdown leagues. So that's 2 really good seasons there. 1 year he gave us Sammy Watkins, who was the number 10 wide receiver per game in PPR in 13 games. He had over 1,000 yards in 13 games while leaving 1 game early with an injury. The other 2 years, not good. Watkins struggled the next year in eight games. He averaged 54 yards per game. And then the year after that, the 2 leading receivers for Buffalo, this is why Taylor had such a bad year. Their 2 leading receivers were Charles Clay and LaShawn McCoy. So they had awful wide receivers that year. But Taylor, if you were in his prime, you could argue that this is really a maybe even better because he runs less and will run for fewer touchdowns than Justin Fields. But Obviously, Fields you could look at as maybe someone like Heath has mentioned. He's gotten better every year. Maybe he's an ascending player. Tyrod Taylor is 36 years old. But last thing on Taylor, he made 4 starts with the Giants 2 years ago. 4 starts that he didn't leave with early. 4 games that he started and finished, put it that way. He scored 19.7 or more fantasy points in 6-point per passing touchdown leagues in 3 out of 4. 2 years before that, he did the same thing with the Texans. He scored 19.1 or more fantasy points in 3 of 4 games that he started and finished. So put him on your radar in 4-point per passing touchdown leagues. Put him on your radar in Superflex, obviously. But he might not be that bad if he can just, not age, I guess. All right. So that's our analysis there. Not a huge.
By the way, who's in the front office now for the Jets?
What's his name?
I mean, he's not the general manager, but he's a consultant for them. Rick.
Oh, you're talking about our former colleague?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who did he pay a lot of money to?
He did pay Kirk Cousins a lot of money once upon a time. My argument is if you're not going to, it seems like it's a lot to spend unless you really thought of your team as a contending team right now.
You're talking about Rick Spielman, by the way.
Right.
So who's not consulting.
If they're gonna add $20 million or whatever it would be.
What happened once upon a time when the Vikings had a quarterback injury?
They trade. Oh, you're talking about the Sam Bradford deal?
Yeah.
Yeah, they gave up they gave up a first rounder.
They gave up a first round pick for Sam Bradford.
And you know what? To your point on that, I don't remember the Vikings as like a major Super Bowl contender at that point.
They were a contender. They were absolutely a contender.
I don't know if they were like.
I don't know if they were
them up there at the top with like the other teams.
I don't know if they were the top 5 team, but they were certainly a contender.
We were coming off the loss to the Seahawks in the wild card round. Blair Walsh
game.
Yeah.
So
I'd be surprised if they paid Kirk Cousins a lot of money.
I don't think they would. Listen, if they're going to make a trade for Kirk Cousins, there's going to obviously be some financials coming back from the Falcons to pay it.
Sure.
Just to recap. If Tyrod Taylor were to be the quarterback for the Jets this year, you would do what with Garrett Wilson's ranking and what with Breece Hall's ranking?
I wouldn't change it at all.
I would move Garrett Wilson down a smidge. I would move Breece Hall up a smidge.
Okay.
Do you want to ask the same question with Kirk Cousins?
No. Let's wait. I'm going to give you a quick draft-a-thon update here. We are over $60,000, and I think we sold out our mailbag, but we do still have some FFT open spots. Let's see. We got spots in Lige Duzables League. 6 spots left. Come on, show Alfredo Brown some love. He came on our show last week.
Speaking of Jets, Lige Duzable.
Yeah. Dwayne McFarland, Chip Patterson. They've got some spots open. Mike McClure, Tom Fornelli, John Breach, and I believe that is it. So go to tinyurl.com/2025FFT. Bid on anything you want, or you can just make a donation, and we appreciate your support. We still have Mike from a town east of New Haven in control of the leaderboard with a $1,000 donation, but Poppy with $750 is now in second. And we have a bunch of people who have donated $500, so I appreciate it. Vote for us at podcastawards.com. Please nominate the Fantasy Football Today in the Best Sports Podcast category and the People's Choice if you'd like. Podcastawards.com or podcastawards.com/app/sign up.
Who's the leader? Who donated 1,000?
So this is the guy who is writing, Mike. He's writing about Drake May and Heath being too low on Drake May.
Okay. I think what we should do is mention him every show until someone donates more. And then whoever donates more gets a mention on the show every day.
He's just going to be a member of the FFT.
That's what I'm saying. Until someone comes up with 1,001 for St. Jude.
All right, let's move on to.
That's what we do.
That'd be great. I mean, I hope that works. That'd be great. Quick round of trivia. Here we go. The closest answer wins. DJ Moore has played 7 NFL seasons. In his last 6 seasons, what is the most amount of touchdown passes his team has thrown in DJ Moore's last 6 seasons?
26.
So the entire team total of touchdown passes?
Correct.
26.
So it could be like if there was a special teams touchdown off a pass?
Yes.
Okay. 26.
I just threw a number off the top of my head.
You can't say 26. The birthday boy said 26.
Oh, I'm sorry. 24.
Jamie is right. Well, no. Jamie is closest. The answer is a pathetic 20.
Ew.
DJ Moore's teams have not thrown more than 20 touchdowns in the last 6 seasons. And it was actually last year, Caleb Williams, most touchdown passes since DJ Moore's rookie season when I think his team threw 28 that year. All right. In 2021, Jamar Chase was a rookie. He ranked 6th among wide receivers in explosive play rate. In his last 3 seasons, out of 105 wide receivers with 100 or more targets, where does Jamar Chase rank in explosive play rate over the last 3 years out of 105 wide receivers?
Top 5.
If he's asking this, it's probably bad. I'll say 105. No, you said 105?
100. Yeah.
I'll go somewhere in the middle, 50.
73rd.
Oh gosh.
Is that shocking to you or what? Jamar Chase.
Who was the top 5 in that category?
Oh, I think I might still have that up. Okay, so the top 5 are Brandon Ayuk, Nico Collins, Josh Reynolds, Jalen Waddle, and Ladd McConkey.
Josh Reynolds' explosive play rate will go down with Tyrod Taylor.
His fantasy value craters.
Josh Reynolds, because a lot of it is ADOT. These guys usually have higher ADOTs. Jamar Chase is pretty low ADOT. All right, let's see.
McConkey. Wow.
Yeah, his explosive play rate was terrific last year. Last one. Lamar Jackson became the full-time starter in 2019. Since then, where do the Ravens rank in running back carries from the 5-yard line or closer?
Dan.
First. 10th.
Jamie sweeps. It is 7th, but it's still very high.
You went over.
Yeah, but I didn't say. I just said closest, not closest without going over.
I went over.
Depends how you look at it, I guess. Yeah, so the Ravens always give you a lot of goal line carries. So
we've gone over twice. 24 was over 20.
Yeah, you both went over on that one. All right, bonus. Which team leads the NFL in running back carries from the 5-yard line or closer since 2019?
Running back carries?
Yeah.
So it's not Philly. Detroit.
That's a great guess.
It is such a good guess. I'm not even going to let Dave guess. It is the correct answer.
Right.
Detroit's always doing that. All right, let's get to some news and notes, and then we will talk about the rest of the pick by pick. Malik Neighbors is practicing. Remember, he sat out during OTAs, mini camp, whatever it was, because of a toe injury that they said was lingering, and they have to monitor it. But the quotes made me a little nervous. They said that surgery is an option at some point and that it has been discussed. So he's got this lingering toe issue that's going to have to be monitored. Convince me that I should take Malik Neighbors in the first round. There's a lot of great wide receivers. Why am I taking him over Brian Thomas Jr., for example?
If he's not going to have surgery.
Worst offense and a toe injury.
If he's not going to have surgery and plays the entire season, he will have more targets than maybe everybody in the league.
Right. He's got upside to be the wide receiver 1. He is the perfect combination of target volume, explosiveness, and just unbelievable playmaking ability. There is no question that he's the number 1 guy on his team. He has serviceable quarterback play compared to last year, especially. He averaged 11 targets per game last year, played only 15 games, was a monster for fantasy. When you draft him, you're drafting him for the upside more than anything else. It's just the toe is now probably a bigger downside case than it was when it first came out. Remember, he was practicing during the offseason with the toe. So the thing you'd have to worry about, I suppose, is the Giants are out of it late in the year, or maybe he aggravates it and they say, you know what, just get it taken care of, and you don't get the full season out of Malik Neighbors.
There's an update. Speaking of toes, Aaron Glenn says the toe injury for Justin Fields. No update on the severity.
All right. Well, that's good news, I think.
I think that is, yeah. I mean, we'll see.
Unless it's broken.
I mean, it's better than an Achilles.
If
better than Achilles, better than a high ankle sprain. I would agree, unless, again, it's a broken toe. Could be turf toe.
Yeah, it's July 24th. Season starts on September 4th, I believe. So you know, you could maybe if you miss a couple, whatever. I mean, I'm just saying there's time to recover unless it's really serious. Okay. Kyle Pitts, by the way, recovered from a foot injury. He's back. He's practicing. He's Walker
practicing with the wide receivers.
Oh, cool.
Official site.
Ken Walker recovered from an ankle injury. He's back and apparently looking good. Mike Kay of the Charlotte.
Looked great.
Ken Walker, yeah.
Yeah.
Mike Kay of the Charlotte Observer says that Bryce Young and Hunter Renfrow have good chemistry. Chicago rookie wide receiver Luther Burden is not yet practicing. Jawan Jennings practiced in full. That's cool. But wide receiver Jacob Cowing for the 49ers hurt his hamstring. Cleveland head coach Kevin Stefanski acknowledged that Jerome Ford is the starting running back right now. He also said that Cleveland wants to figure out its starting quarterback sooner rather than later. Arizona rookie defensive tackle, first-round pick Walter Nolan III is going to miss some time with a calf injury. One of Seattle's best defensive players, linebacker Uchenna Nwosu, might not be ready for week 1, and defensive tackle Jonathan Hankins is on the non-football injury NFI list. Dallas wants to move Kevontae Turpin all over the field. They use him at running back. I think we mentioned that yesterday. He was picked up in our Dynasty League. So Kevontae Turpin, someone, if you super deep leagues. And we're hoping for the best for Miami offensive lineman Byron Matos, who was airlifted to the hospital with an injury yesterday. And also cornerback Artie Burns for the Dolphins may have torn his ACL. We'll take a break and get into picks 7 through 12. So 1 through 6 was a little bit predictable, I guess. Things get more interesting, I think, with 7 through 12. We'll be right back.
Here we go. The 2025 CBS Sports NFL schedule is here. 18 glorious Sundays.
He's got his receiver touchdown.
Filled with rematches.
Oh, the play of the year.
And rivalries.
Touchdown, Bengals.
Plus, plenty of superstar showdowns. And an epic matchup between the Chiefs and Cowboys on Thanksgiving. Clear your Sundays beginning September 7th for the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus.
So yesterday was part 1 of this. And by the way, Jamie, can you just tell everybody how to see this story and all the results for the Pick by Pick series?
I just sent it out on Twitter, X, whatever we're calling it these days. You retweeted it as well, that there is a landing page for all 12 stories. And you can see the entire mock draft in its entirety, how we usually present our mock drafts on cbssports.com. So you can find them individually, each pick, each story, from all 6 of us that did the 2 write-ups. But if you just want one landing page with the entire draft, you can see it on cbssports.com.
Yeah, very cool stuff and hopefully very helpful. We're going to be doing another one.
And we'll be doing at least one more of these, maybe 2.
Okay. And do I have to write the article again, or can you write it for me? Or
yeah, you can do all your similar mistakes in there that you did. I read yours. It was terrible.
Jeez.
I don't doubt it. I don't really know how to write. So anywho, let's take a look at team 7, which was Jamie's, and team 8 was mine. And I guess we can start there because we had very, very, very different builds. So Jamie, I talked about team 1 for you yesterday, where your first 7 picks was it 7? Yeah, 7 picks were running backs and wide receivers. And this one, first 8 picks? No, wait, more than that. What do you got? First 10 picks were running backs and wide receivers. So you kept with that strategy there, and you ended up with Evan Ingram and Bo Nix at quarterback and tight end.
Stack.
Whereas I, as we talked about this at the end of yesterday's show, Dave, I took 4 different positions with my first 4 picks. So I guess that just shows you that if you're picking in the middle, Jamie, there are different ways that you can go because, you know, McBride, maybe Bowers, but McBride is probably in play for you there. In round 3, you're definitely in position to look at maybe one of the 3, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and Jaden Daniels. And then in round 4, Kittle, Burrow, Hurts could be in play for you there. So there are a lot of things you can do if you're picking in the middle.
Yeah, I think it's, you know, this is why I think a lot of people like to be in the spot, because you're still getting one of the top, you know, 7, 8, 10 players, depending on how far your list goes. And then you're getting still, I think, a very quality player. I knew you were taking AJ Brown. You know, the way the draft unfolded in round 2, would have been thrilled if he fell to me, was thrilled that Drake London was still there. You know, then we get to those group of running backs that I think you can make a case for: Jacobs and Taylor, Irving, Chase Brown, Kyron Williams still, you know, all these guys. And then, you know, if you want to go the tight end route, We saw Bowers go earlier in round 2, second pick of round 2, and McBride was on the board for me. I wasn't comfortable taking him in that spot. Not that I don't like him, but I just think it's too soon. There's just so many different ways you could play it out. I think it's really when you get to round 3 is when the fun starts. So it's, you can kind of control the way that you have the opportunity. I think in round 1, there will be, if you're 7, 8, 9, I think McCaffrey's on the board. HN will most likely be on the board, not with our draft, but Jahmyr Gibbs may be on the board like he was here. Genty will be on the board. Like, you could take one of the top 6 or 7 running backs. You should have an opportunity to take one of the top 10 wide receivers. And I think that's just a good way to start your team. And then you come back, or I'm sorry, you could take one of the receivers in the first round too. And then again, it's just really like what happens in round 3. So like, you could see a situation where James Cook is there, Kyron Williams is there based on ADP. So if you want to go receiver, there's just so many different ways you can go.
And it's really easy to map out. When you're picking 7th overall, that means you're also picking 18th overall. Before your draft, you can make a list of your top 18 players, and you can just draft off that for the first 2 rounds. Maybe you get really lucky and one of those players is there in round 3 as well. But I think you'd rather have 2 top 18 picks than 2 top 24 picks. And that's why I think the closer – I thought about this after the show yesterday. The closer I get to the end of round 1, the more I like the draft slot this year, because I think there is a drop-off between – honestly, I think the drop-off is from like 15th overall. And then it gets worse once you get to like 22nd, 23rd. So I like picking toward the end of round 1 this year because of the talent that's available at the tippy top of the draft.
Yeah, I've thought about that a lot, and I certainly agree with what you're saying about your first 2 picks. But my issue is the middle of round 3. I feel like every single year we feel this way. The middle of round 3, it feels like there's a drop-off at that point.
Agreed.
So if I have a late pick in round 1, obviously it means I have a late pick in round 3. And, I don't love having the late pick in round 3. I often find that when we've done mock drafts and I've come up in the 3rd round, I haven't loved my pick. So I'm sort of torn on where I want to draft. And a lot of people get to make this decision. I think maybe being in the middle is a really good spot this year.
But what you did in this draft is the right thing. When you're up in round 3 and you don't love the running backs that are there and you don't love the wide receivers that are there and you're not ready to take George Kittle, you take the quarterback because that's the safest way to go. It's going to be, this is presuming it's one of the top 3 guys, Allen, Jackson, Jaden Daniels. That's how I have them ranked. But when you take one of those 3 quarterbacks, you should feel confident that you're taking a player that's going to get you north of 25 fantasy points per week, a must starter on your team, a difference maker for your team. You're not overpaying for them. And you're taking advantage of people kind of passing on quarterback, waiting on quarterback, and getting a player that's just, it's an easy click at that point to take one of those stud quarterbacks, understanding that you're kind of kicking the can on the other positions and you're not like wedging in a running back or a wide receiver that you're not all in on with that pick. I love what you did by taking Allen there and being the first person to take a quarterback off the board in the back half of round 3.
3.7. Thank you, Dave. So I think comparing my team and Jamie's team is interesting, but there's just one last thing I want to say here. So we're talking about a 12-team league. So the end of round 3 is the 36th pick. And I actually, I do think that there are a few players that if they fell there, and based on ADP, it's quite realistic that they will, that I would personally would be happy. So I want to ask you guys too, who are like 3 or 4 players that from what you've seen from ADP that you'd be happy with taking with your 3rd and 4th picks if you were picking, let's say 10th, 11th, or 12th overall. For me, they are James Cook. Well, I'll say 4 guys: James Cook, Kyron Williams, Jaden Daniels, and George Kittle. I feel really good about those 4 if I can make them my late round 3 or early round 4 picks. Again, James Cook, Kyron Williams, Jaden Daniels, and George Kittle, which means I clearly don't love the wide receivers there unless JSN really does make it there. I'll throw JSN in there too. But I seem to like the running backs.
But JSN was there. You didn't take him.
He was. No, I had the 7th pick. So I took Allen over JSN. Yeah, but I mean, if I had been picking like with the 10th, with the 11th pick, I would have taken JSN.
I think like So in this draft, for example, which I don't think we see that very often, is JSN and Garrett Wilson both there. Like Dan could have started his team in a very fun way if he passed on Breece Hall. And I know he likes clearly Marvin Harrison better than JSN and Garrett Wilson, which is not the norm of what we see for most drafts. Like he could have started Nico Collins, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Garrett Wilson, and JSN. And this is a 3 receiver in a flex league. Like that's amazing to me.
No, I hate that.
I love it.
I hate it because there are such good values at wide receiver later, and you're going to skip them because you've already gotten all of your wide receivers.
Those are arguably 4 top 12 receivers, and in some places that's how they're ranked. So like to me, they're top 15, 16. I don't know. I would have done it, especially it's just like
fair, right?
You could really make a definitive case that you like Breece Hall and Marvin Harrison better than JSN and Garrett Wilson.
I would go Breece Hall and JSN. But yeah, you give yourself not really that much positional flexibility in your draft when you've taken 4 wide receivers with your first 4 picks.
Well, I mean, just again to play it out, if we're gonna just go with this exercise. So if he really wanted to go 0 RB, he did it. If he had taken those 4 receivers and then taken Laporta and Mahomes, and then I think he's behind the 8 ball a little bit. But if he had taken the 4 receivers and not taken Laporta and Mahomes, and if it's just the way that it played itself out, so his starting running backs would be David Montgomery and Pacheco. If those are the 2, so like those 4 receivers, Montgomery and Pacheco, I don't mind that.
No, I like that.
He comes back around and it's Tracy and ETN, Jalen Warren, Javonte Williams. Like
it's fine. Yeah, it's fine.
I'm never running backs. Like I don't know.
I was having fun when I said I hate it, but the truth is, I'm never going to say there's one strategy that works or does. It just
that's potentially 400 receptions. Like that's hard to pass up in PPR.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, I do like it better with a hero RB baked in there. So if he had passed on, let's say he passed on Mahomes, and he took Jameson or Ted McMillan to be his 4th wide receiver, and I agree, Jackson Smith and Jigba over Marvin Harrison. I do like that a lot. I just
want to get back
to the 1 RB that you just go, okay, I got one stud. My weak spot is definitely going to be at RB2, but I'm loaded at wide receiver. I've got a stud tight end. I'm going to wait on quarterback. I like that build a lot. I think Dan kind of loused it up a little bit by taking Mahomes, even though it's good value on Mahomes.
All right. So anyway, that's the 12th pick. Let me get back to the 7th and 8th picks here. And Dave, you tell me, which team do you like better? Because we went about this completely different ways. Our first 2 picks were pretty similar. Jamie with the pick 7 went with Gibbs and Drake London in the 2nd round. I had pick 8. I went with McCaffrey and AJ Brown. So we go running back receiver. But Jamie takes Devontae Adams and DK Metcalf with his next 2 picks. This is a 3 receiver PPR league. And I take Josh Allen and George Kittle. So I'm going to give the starting lineups here. For Jamie at team 7, it's Bo Nix, who was taken very late. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12th round. The quarterbacks were insanely
Right.
depressed.
You're not going to see Bo Nix going around 12 in your home leagues.
So great pick. Bo Nix and Evan Ingram for Jamie, with Jahmyr Gibbs, Travion Henderson, Drake London, Devontae Adams, DK Metcalf, and Chris Godwin, or if he's not ready, Khalil Shakir or Stephon Diggs at flex. So again, it's Nix, Evan Ingram, Broncos, Gibbs and Travion Henderson, London, Adams, Metcalf, and then the flex is probably Chris Godwin, or if he's not ready for week 1, Khalil Shakir, Stephon Diggs. Running backs on the bench are Cam Scatterbo and Isaac Orendo and Marshawn Lloyd. And yes, I will just say it now so we don't have to get back into it. I absolutely should have taken Isaac Orendo. It was a mistake by me. So Jamie's great at, so that's Jamie's team. Hope this is easy for people to digest at home. I'm sorry if, it's a lot.
I think the better way to go about it is talking about the build instead of the players.
Well, no, because we got to. All right.
Well, because his players are superior to yours. I mean,
I don't. Well,
better way to put it.
his players are superior. I have last year, Josh Allen was QB 2 or 3 per game. And tight end 1 per game.
Well, maybe not the running backs, but the receivers.
Why do people, I feel like people always do this when they evaluate a team. The first thing they look at is the running backs and the wide receivers. I got Josh Allen and George Kittle. He has Bo Nix and Evan Ingram.
No, right? And there's an advantage that you've got there, and he's got an advantage at wide receiver, and it's debatable if he's got an advantage at running back.
He does not have an advantage at running back.
Right, and if Mixon is healthy, you're going to have an edge over him at running back. It'll be
my number 3 running back is Aaron Jones. His is Cam Scatterbo.
Yeah, so there's no question. I think you probably do edge him out at running back. I wouldn't have passed on Bucky in round 2 if I were Jamie, especially. Okay. But that's looking back in hindsight and seeing how his receivers stack up after round 2.
There was no way I was taking Bucky Irving over Drake London, and I would not advise that.
Yeah, I would. I think Bucky could be awesome, and Drake London's going to be great too. But I like Bucky better.
So the question is
the hindsight of seeing Jamie getting Adams, Metcalf, Diggs. I really like a lot in round 8. Godwin, if he's right, that's fine. Shakir is solid depth. Like that's a good receiving core even without Drake London. And so, Jamie, we play this game all the time about wouldn't you have rather taken X over Y? Man, your running backs would crush Adam and maybe everybody else is in the league if you had taken Bucky over Drake London.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I like Bucky Irving. I think he's a second-round pick. I think Drake London has top 5 upside. I don't think Bucky Irving is going to get there.
I think Bucky's got top 5 upside too.
I got to focus it on team 6.
He's going to get more work this year.
Team 7 versus 8. I got to focus it on that, guys. Are my wide receivers so much worse than Jamie's that if we say we're tied at running back, or maybe a slight edge to me because I have a better RB3, and I'm clearly better at quarterback and tight end, my wide receivers are A.J. Brown, Jamison Williams, and then barf, Matthew Golden, Christian Kirk, Kyle Williams. Just horrible at wide receiver 3. His are Drake London, Devontae Adams, DK Metcalf, Chris Godwin, Khalil Shakir, and Stephon Diggs. Is that enough of an advantage? I personally would roll the dice with my team, but I see the argument either way. Can you afford to, in a 3-receiver league, build your team so that you're that weak at wide receiver, that good everywhere else, and still be all right?
I think if you had Diggs instead of Golden, that's my personal preference. And I know that a lot of people are real squeamish on Stephon Diggs, but I think there's a real path for him to get some good numbers this year. I think I might have told you that your team was better. I think it's really close now that I think about it. And yeah, the one advantage Jamie's got over you is at wide receiver. And it's a huge advantage though, because your second wide receiver is Jamison. He's a borderline number 2 wide receiver at best. And Jamie's got like potentially 4 number 2 wide receivers, 5 if Godwin pans out. And those are guys that are minimum number 2 wide receivers. London can definitely be a number 1 wide receiver. Devontae can be a borderline number 1 wide receiver. Is it a big enough edge? I would say in a 3-receiver, 1 flex, full PPR format, I think it's really close. I think it's really close.
Okay. So then there you go. You can do it either way. If you want to gamble on the high-end talent at quarterback and running back, all right, and tight end rather. But as Dave mentioned at the end of yesterday's show, much easier to do that in a 2-receiver league than a 3-receiver league.
Or in a smaller league, a 10-team league, an 8-team league.
Yeah, absolutely. So just bear that in mind.
I think if you had drafted a little bit, I don't really love the back half of your draft picks. Like everything after Aaron Jones, and kind of Aaron Jones, I don't know. There weren't any great running backs left when you took Aaron Jones. So I think I'm okay with Aaron Jones. I would have probably taken some different choices starting after the Jones pick. So that was round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, round 8 on. I think I would have made some different choices than you had made.
Well, you know what, Dave? You're allowed to say something like that to me because today is your special day. Happy birthday, Dave Richard. What are you doing to celebrate?
I am going to work early, hang out with the family. My son is purveying some steaks and grilling them, and I will enjoy a nice dinner at home with the fam.
Beautiful. I love it.
And
I just
work
want to
before bed, and then that's it. No one cares.
I'd like to apologize for something. Sometimes
Golden.
Sometimes you go for something and you just instantly regret it. And that is how I feel about playing the happy birthday music during the Justin Fields analysis. It was really wrong. It was legitimately wrong. I should not have done it. Feel kind of sick about it for the last 40 minutes or 30 minutes. So my apologies.
For some forgiveness.
It doesn't have to be.
I mean, that might cost us the podcast awards.
It was pretty awful, pretty shallow of me. All right. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to take a break, and you'll have a new host when we come back. We'll be right back. All right, someone in the chat just said, no team really stands out. It's Popinski here, but I like Team 9's structure the most. So let's take a look at teams 9 and 10.
Why is 6 afraid of 7?
7, 8. You already said 7, 8, 9 earlier. Thomas apparently crushed it with Team 9. Jacob was Team 10. Let's see if he was able to draft enough rookies. He stole them on the other team that he had.
I think we need to hire Johnny as like a joke writer.
Oh, what did Johnny say this time? Adam, you have worse things to apologize for.
The next one.
I don't know if that's a joke.
Selection.
Yeah, these aren't jokes.
He's very funny.
Johnny's the best.
All right, so Thomas and Jacob, they started similarly. With for Thomas, it was Nakua Henry. For Jacob, it was Genty Brian Thomas. So that's a good question right there if you're picking 9, 10, 11, 12, whatever it is. Running back in round 1 or wide receiver in round 1? Does it matter?
It again, I think it comes down to like Genty feels like there's a little bit of a cutoff. Obviously, there's the people that are going to love Derrick Henry, and at this point, like I'm tired of fighting that battle. So if you want to put Henry in that category too. So if you're looking at it and you're seeing, and I'm sure, Jacob probably did this exercise too. Like you have Neighbors still on the board, Collins still on the board, St. Brown still on the board, Thomas still on the board, AJ Brown, Drake London. Like if you like that group, you're going to say, okay, I'm going to take the running back because I know I'm probably not going to get Genty coming back. That's the way I would have played it out. And I would guess he's probably a Bowers guy too, because he's a young player. So there's, the opportunity to get one of those guys and you say, okay, I'll just take whoever's left. Again, unless you really love Derrick Henry, you take the receiver and maybe Henry's there.
Question for Thomas, if you want to hop on. So you went Puka in round 1 with the 9th overall pick. 10th pick was Genty. And then we have a run of 5 straight non-running backs. Neighbors, Nico, St. Brown, Bowers, Brian Thomas. And you took Derrick Henry. And I think a lot of people feel like after Derrick Henry, there is a drop in tier at running back. So you have Jonathan Taylor, Bucky Irving, Josh Jacobs, right? So if Derrick Henry had been selected, and maybe Brian Thomas or Brock Bowers had fallen to you, if Derrick Henry had gone after Neighbors, Nico, and St. Brown, and you were not going to take a running back there, maybe you would have. What would you have done with your 2nd round pick after taking Puka first?
I wouldn't have taken Brock Bowers. I'm worried about him. So I'm not even looking at him in round 2. If Amon-Ra was there, I would have taken Amon-Ra or Brian Thomas, depending on which receivers would have fell. I mean, I don't know who would have, but I would have ranked it Amon-Ra, Brian Thomas, Nico, then Neighbors.
Okay, and if you had gone receiver, because here you went Puka and Henry. If you had gone receiver, do you think you would have taken Jaden Daniels in round 3, or do you think that you would have maybe gone with Ken Walker or Breece Hall or something like that? Because you did take Jaden Daniels in round 3 in this draft.
Yeah, I was going to take Allen if you didn't take him at that point. If I would have went receiver, I probably would have taken Breece Hall. Unless Josh Allen fell there, I would have taken Josh Allen over Breece Hall.
Do you have anything to say to Dave on his birthday, or I'm just going to hop off?
Happy birthday, Dave.
That's horrible.
Appreciate everything you do.
All right.
No, I was going to ask, Thomas likes your team, Adam, more than Jamie's team.
No, we're done with that. We got to move on.
We're done with those two terrible.
Yeah.
Good.
Just real quick on that. It's because Adam was drafting every player I would have drafted. Like Adam was literally like 1 through through Aaron Jones, I probably would have taken all those players if I were in his spot. So,
Oh, thank you.
You know, you
Adam
picked ahead of him in a few rounds. You could have taken those players.
It's so easy to map out your second round pick when you're picking late in round 1.
I can't believe Adam took AJ Brown over Derrick Henry.
No. So, all right. So, quick question here. Let's say you guys went wide receiver instead of wide receiver running back, right? So instead of Puka and Henry, you had
Like
gone
Dan
Puka.
did at pick 12.
Yeah, Puka and Brian Thomas, right? Let's say. Would that have changed your round 3 pick, or would you? And you had conviction about taking Jaden Daniels. I'm sorry, if I can't get anyone confused. Thomas with the 9th pick took Puka, Henry, Jaden Daniels. Would you have changed the Daniels pick to a running back if you had started receiver, or receiver tight end or something like that?
So this goes back to what I was saying earlier. If I didn't like a running back, if I didn't have that conviction for a running back or any other player at any other position, then yeah, I would have taken Jaden Daniels there. I have no problem taking a quarterback in round 3. It's almost like the time to take a quarterback is when you look at the board for running backs, receivers, and tight ends and go, I hate all these guys, but I like these quarterbacks. So you take the quarterback at that point. And if that's how Thomas had felt, maybe Thomas doesn't like Kenneth Walker that much or Breece Hall that much, then by all means, you take Jaden Daniels over him and you wait for a running back in round 4.
I think the only thing, I don't disagree with Dave's thought process there, because that's how most drafts will most likely unfold. I just go back to something I say a lot, is that, you know who you're drafting with, and you could have potentially, and whatever drop off you think that there is for these guys, like if you value Ken Walker, you value Breece Hall, or if you want to push maybe Amari Hampton up there now, or Hubbard or Kamara, like you could have taken one of those guys and gotten Burrow or Hurts in round 4.
I guess my question is more, do your first 2 picks influence your third, or do you just take best player available?
They should absolutely influence your third pick. I mean, you want to take best player available, but it should be something that you're thinking of, so if you think that Daniels is your best player available, that's the route you go. But, again, I'll go back to what I said about Dan's team. Like, I would have taken, in my opinion, the best player available there, which would have been JSN and Garrett Wilson over Harrison and Hall, and gone 4 receivers. Not because I took 2 receivers, I have to take a running back, or I have to take something different.
I think the worst thing you can do on draft day is spend a pick on a position that you're kind of forcing yourself to take, especially if it's a player that you're not in love with.
Sure.
And you go, oh God, I need a running back. And you're taking, a running back that you just don't believe in. It's just the worst, because then you're going to ask yourself later on this year, why did I take this guy? I didn't even like this guy. And now he's on my fantasy team and I'm starting him. And that's just not how you should play fantasy. Anybody. It's not how anybody.
All right, we have a Justin Fields update.
What is it?
Should I play Happy Birthday, or probably not?
He dislocated his toe.
Oh, yeah.
No fracture, not the big toe. Still undergoing tests, but that's the initial diagnosis. Severity is unclear, according to Ian Rappaport.
It's still better than a torn ligament.
Okay. Good luck to Justin Fields. Hope he's back out there very soon. All right. So Jacob at team 10.
Good luck to Justin Fields.
Jacob
we
made.
hope your toe heals.
Oh my gosh. All right. Jacob made 14 picks and 7 of them were rookies. It's unbelievable. He has Genty. Now his next 4 picks were veterans, but Genty, McMillan, Judkins, Loveland, Jaden Higgins, Jarquez Hunter, and Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt as his last pick. All right. Anyway, they did structure their teams pretty similarly, with one exception. Thomas took the quarterback in round 3, and Jacob took Justin Fields in round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But they both took a tight end in the same round. Round 8, he took Loveland. Thomas took Hawkinson. Back-to-back picks. But for Thomas, the team is Jaden Daniels with TJ Hawkinson and Dalton Kincaid. Quick question. If you draft Hawkinson, do you think you need to, want to, should not, should, whatever, draft a second tight end?
You don't need a second tight end. You
Hawkinson?
can if you want to.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Yeah, you can if you want to. Not saying it was a bad pick to take Kincaid, but don't have to.
I think it's a little dicey to take Colson Loveland as your only tight end, though.
Yeah, that's what Jacob did.
Mm-hmm.
Jaden Daniels and Hawkinson and Kincaid at tight end. Running backs are Derrick Henry and James Conner. Very young. Wide receivers are Puka Nacua, Puka Nacua, Mike Evans, with round 4 pick, Jordan Addison, Jacoby Myers, Jalen McMillan could be a good value, and Pat Bryant. And he's got Jared Goff as a backup quarterback.
McMillan, a little insurance for Evans. I kind of prefer that in a deeper league than this type of where this isn't a deep enough league to do that. You guys only went 14 rounds, but it's reasonable.
I should point out that this was before any Jordan Addison news. So I don't know that we were necessarily expecting a suspension when we made this pick of Jordan Addison in round 6. So what do we think about this build, guys? So that's quarterback in round 3, but the rest of the first 7 picks were 2 running backs and 4 receivers. Then tight end.
I don't love the double quarterback, double tight end strategy.
If I could be honest, speaking for Thomas, and I'll speak for myself, when we do these drafts, we do it we're not in a draft room, and it's like get to the last 2 rounds. Sometimes it's hard to think about who to draft, so you just take like names and maybe
you were definitely.
Oh, what a brilliant way to draft!
No, I'm just saying we don't have a draft list in front of us.
But so don't you have a rank list? Don't you have something that you go off of when you draft, or are you just drafting off the top of your head?
At this point, if I look at your top 200 or your top whatever wide receivers that are published on CBSSports.com, running backs and wide receivers are all gone at this point. So he took Kincaid and Goff.
That's not true.
Yes, they are.
Well, I mean, are we being totally honest?
Past like receiver 60, you have to like think of who's the receiver 3 on this team or whatever.
You can print out the rankings.
You're going to be cutting those players. You're going to be cutting those players anyways, regardless. So it really doesn't matter at the end of the day.
I'm all about it. I love what you did.
I'm on Team Adam today.
What's that?
I'm on Team Adam today.
Yeah. It's a good team to be on. All right, so we'll look at Jacob's team. Jacob has Justin Fields and Colston Loveland. Fields in round 10, Loveland in round 8. Genty, Brian Thomas, Ken Walker. I'll do running backs. Genty and Ken Walker with Quinshon Judkins, obviously a dicey pick. Jordan Mason, Roshan Johnson, Jarquez Hunter, Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. These are his last 3 picks, those backup running backs. So he's got 7 running backs on his team, but Genty, Ken Walker, and then a bunch of question marks. Judkins, Jordan Mason, Roshan, Jarquez Hunter, and then Krosky Merritt. Wide receiver, 4 of his first 6 picks are receivers. Brian Thomas Jr., Garrett Wilson, Zay Flowers, Tedoroa McMillan, and Jaden Higgins. Dave, how do we feel about this team?
I like it. I like the team. This is how I'm probably going to end up building a bunch of my teams this year. And you guys can both attest to me drafting a lot of running backs in general. Do you want to talk about like strategy for your last couple of picks or not?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that's what we're here for.
So what Jacob does by taking 3 backup running backs late is, especially when we're drafting in mid-July, which is when you guys did this draft, you're hoping that one of these 3 picks ends up gaining value between now and the end of week 1. And so you carry these guys on your team. Hopefully you're not going to necessarily need to cut one of them because you've got your team built. Most everybody's going to be healthy to start the season. And then after week 1, if Krosky Merritt is, inactive and 4th string on the Commanders and Jarquez Hunter's 3rd string on the Rams, whatever, you're cutting those guys. And you're going to find some other players off the waiver wire, and maybe that comes back to bite you in the behind, and maybe it doesn't. But the whole idea is you're holding these guys through week 1 just to see what happens. When you're drafting Goff and Kincaid with your last 2 picks, theoretically, I like those guys better because I know that they're going to be participating all year. I know Jared Goff is never going to be inactive unless he's hurt. Same thing for Dalton Kincaid. He doesn't stink that much. And they've got plenty of upside too, but you're not cutting those guys if they have a bad week 1. The only way you're cutting those guys, and it would be Goff that you would cut, is if you need a roster spot and you don't, you don't have anybody better to cut. And so you're going to reluctantly cut one of those guys versus the running backs that you're just hoping get some value. So I like going into my season with a bench full of guys that I hope do something in week 1. And if they don't do anything in week 1 or even week 2, yeah, I'm letting them go and trying to help my team get better with somebody off the waiver wire to take their place. As for the build to begin, I like both builds. I do a lot. But I do like the receiver depth a little bit more for Jacob than I do for Thomas. And I guess that's just the thing that I'm going to be about this year is receiver depth, especially again, 3 receiver league, 1 flex league, full PPR. And not only did Jacob get that good receiver depth, he's got 2 running backs that I would be totally happy starting each week in Genti and Ken Walker.
I think it's interesting that so Thomas, just to compare the receiver depth, if you're not looking, Thomas has Puka, Evans, Addison, Myers, McMillan, and Pat Bryant. Jacob has Brian Thomas, Garrett Wilson, Zay Flowers, Tet McMillan, Jaden Higgins.
So to me, it's about the first 4 receivers, not the guys after the first 4 receivers.
Yeah, but I just think it's so interesting that Jacob has 7 running backs on his team and Thomas has 4.
Well, because his last 3 picks were running backs.
Yeah, and I don't know if those picks are better off being handcuffed running backs. And in the case of Hunter and Krosky Merritt, we don't even know if they would have a boost in value if the starter got hurt. I mean, I think Roshan clearly would. Or a guy like Kincaid, who had very high target per route run rate, was playing hurt, and a guy like Goff, who was great. Go ahead, Jamie.
I think it's the Goff pick. Like, if you're going to invest early in quarterback, and Thomas made the investment in Jay Daniels in round 3, like, unless you're taking somebody who falls that's got so much upside, Drake May is there, maybe Caleb Williams is there, and I'm not saying the last pick, but something in the latter part of the draft, like to take Jared Goff. Dave said it perfectly. Like, if you're dropping a guy that's going to be in that 21, 22 point per game range when Jay Daniels in that 27 point per game range, you're never playing Goff over Daniels. Like, you're just giving somebody something else because you're just sort of stuck. Now, clearly he can drop Kincaid if Kincaid sucks. He could drop Pat Bryant, and I am surprised.
Bryant's going to be the first drop.
I'm sorry?
Brian is going to be the first guy he drops.
But what I'm getting at, is like you just basically put like a roadblock on your roster in Jared Goff. If you're going to invest in quarterback early, like, I just don't understand taking basically just like a fallback option at quarterback. Like that that's the difference, I think, in what Jacob did versus Thomas did. Like, Jacob took a huge swing for somebody who may be the best running back in Washington. I think that's the way Jacob's approaching it. Like, you wouldn't be surprised if he's better than Brian Robinson or Austin Eckler. So it's not, forget about the player, just the theory. Like, you're taking a chance on somebody that may hit big versus what you're getting in Jared Goff. He's an excellent late round quarterback. But if you're going to do that, don't take Daniels early, or just don't take Goff at all.
After today, Jacob might not even have a starting quarterback, though. So I have a running quarterback that could potentially get injured. So that's why I get it. Jared Goff that I could cut. But I mean, Jacob doesn't have a backup quarterback or in a risky tight end. I don't know. That's kind of how
But he could. I can't see the rest of the board. I don't remember how the last few rounds unfolded. But CJ Stroud is probably available. Jordan Love.
We were talking about this yesterday.
Yeah, we had this conversation yesterday because Jacob's other team is exactly like this. All he has is Drake May, but there's Jordan Love, there's Tua, there's Justin.
Again, it's no who you drafting with.
Right.
Yeah, they're all on waivers. They're all on waivers in this league. I mean, I look at Jacob's rosters, teams 4 and teams 10, and I don't know. He loves to draft his guys like Colston Loveland and Drake May. If you're wrong about those guys and you're drafting them ahead of consensus, and I think he is with Colston Loveland, taking him that early in round 8. I think you're running a little bit of a risk. So I think he should have taken Dalton Kincaid, right? Like, that would have made a lot more sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed.
But actually Thomas went Kincaid 1 pick before Jacob.
But even like, I'm surprised. I'm surprised that neither one took Trey Harris. Where the Roshan and Pat Bryant.
Well, Jacob would have been the guy to do that because Jacob loves rookies.
All right, let's go to Heath and Dan at picks 11 and 12.
One last thing, or we can touch on this when it comes to Heath's team, because Heath also took a quarterback early and then drafted a quarterback with his last pick. This is how we can transition to Heath's team, Adam. Look at me doing this. One of the reasons why you might take a quarterback with your last pick like this is because it's a good value. You're still drafting a player who's got some upside and potential to, maybe start on. He might be nothing more than a bye week replacement at quarterback, and that sucks. And he's definitely going to be a roster clogger if you've got a great quarterback that you took early on. But if you're trading the guy that you take with your last pick for a player that was taken several rounds before him, that works out for you too. And that makes your team better by doing so. So there's a case to be made for taking some of these quarterbacks with your last pick, and that includes Jared Goff, and it includes Anthony Richardson, believe it or not.
Heath took Anthony Richardson with his last pick. So Heath had pick 11. Dan had pick 12. Heath went with Malik Neighbors. Dan went with Nico Collins. Dan then went Amon-Ra St. Brown. So he starts receiver with Collins and St. Brown. And Heath goes Neighbors, Bowers. So I think that Heath's team and Dan's team couldn't be much more different. And Heath, let's see. Heath was the last guy to take his first running back. Heath waited the longest for his RB1. He is as close to a 0 RB team as it gets in this particular draft.
You think there's a lot of difference between these two teams?
Yeah, I kind of disagree with that.
It's almost
that I disagree with, but I was too strong with my wording, but I think you're too strong with yours. Like,
you have two quarterbacks. You have a quarterback and tight end in the first 6 rounds.
Yeah, but Heath has QB1 and tight end 1.
Correct. But Dan also went 2 receivers earlier. His receivers may be better. I would think they would be.
Dan has a hero RB.
To me, it's almost a similar build. Forget about players. Like, the build is almost identical.
I don't think it's identical.
I completely disagree. Heath's wide receiver 3 is Deebo Samuel, and that was around 7 or 8 pick. Yeah, but that's around 7 or 8 pick. Dan got his wide receiver 3 in round 4 with the first pick of round 4.
And Heath got his RB2 1 round ahead. I mean, I don't see the big difference here. Like, through the first 6 rounds, they're just 1 position off.
But yeah, I think 4 rounds.
Adam, you're right. It's not that extreme of a difference, but it's also not exactly the same.
Okay. What is the Adam, you were right clip?
Adam, you were right.
First 4 picks for Heath are Neighbors, Bowers, Lamar Jackson, JSN. First 4 picks for Dan are Nico Collins, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Breece Hall, Marvin Harrison. How about we focus on Heath's strategy here of waiting until round 5 and late round 5, by the way. So the second to last pick of round 5 to take his first running back, and then he takes a second running back right after. So he goes Neighbors, Bowers, Jackson, JSN, and then DeAndre Swift and David Montgomery are his starting running backs. And then he took Deebo Samuel. And then he took Travis Etienne, Ramondre Stevenson, and Zach Charbonnet. So 5 running backs within 6 picks. But his first 4 picks are Neighbors, Bowers, Lamar, JSN, then Swift, Montgomery, Deebo, Etienne, Ramondre Stevenson, Zach Charbonnet. Jamie, do you think he did okay there with this close to 0 RB strategy?
I think he did great because he played the draft knowing how everybody's going to pick the guy that he likes a lot, and that's DeAndre Swift. And so he has him as a borderline top 15 running back. And so he probably figured, okay, I could get him, sooner than I need to. And I think Montgomery is a pretty good value in the spot. And like, I obviously don't love Bowers with the second pick in round 2, but if you take Bowers out there and you put, let's say, Brian Thomas there, and you take JSN out and you put George Kittle. So just looking at the philosophy, I love the philosophy of how he put this team together. So he got guys that he loves. And again, broader view of this, he got my QB1, he got my tight end 2, he got 2 top 14, 15 wide receivers and 2 top 20 running backs, 24 running backs, so I don't love the Samuel pick. Again, I don't love where he took Bowers, but again, the whole scope of it, the start of his team, I think is pretty excellent.
Do you guys ever
know if you're going to feel as good about, I don't think if you're watching or listening, I don't know if you're going to feel as good about your team if you start wide receiver, tight end, quarterback. You might not be as fortunate as Heath was. I feel like Heath is fortunate to have Montgomery and Swift as his running backs. They're RB2s, but to do that when you're starting 0 RB, I think that's good. And so the price he paid for going wide receiver, tight end, quarterback with his first 3 picks is being particularly weak at wide receiver 3, particularly weak at flex, and not having one of those stud running backs. But it's still a good lineup. It's going to be a volatile team. And if it all hits, if Neighbors is a stud, Bowers is better than expected, Lamar has another MVP year, hell yeah, man, he's got a playoff team. but there's also calamity baked in. If Jackson regresses, if Bowers regresses, if Neighbors isn't as amazing as he was last year, Neighbors was inconsistent last year, and if the running backs don't pan out to their ceilings. So very much a boomer bust team.
Yeah, I think that I would push back a little bit on how amazing Malik Neighbors was last year. He turned 170 targets into 1,204 yards and 7 touchdowns. He basically, what was he? He was wide receiver 6 overall. He's wide receiver 8 per game, but 170 targets in 15 games. I feel like people are expecting 200 targets from Malik Neighbors, and it's just not going to happen. I just don't think he's going to have that high of a target share again, or target per route run rate again. He might, but
I think he might.
I'm forget it. It's really a tangent because he deserves to go 11th overall. So forget it. It's really the waiting on RB. And I don't think he did anything wrong unless he takes Derrick Henry in round 2 and then he has the anchor hero running back. But he wanted to take Bowers there. But I don't think he should have taken a running back over Lamar Jackson around 3. I don't think he should have taken any of the available running backs like Chuba Hubbard or Amarian Hampton or Kamara over Jackson Smith and Jigba in round 4. So he really played the board and took the best values. And Swift and Montgomery, at worst, feels like they're going to be RB 20 to 24. So
Jamie, I want to ask. I want to play to Jamie's point about something, and this is about knowing who you draft with. And most of you guys that are watching and listening, you draft with the same people pretty much year after year. Jamie, how many drafts? And Adam, you too. How many drafts have you done with Dan Schneider?
Mocks?
50.
How often does Dan take a quarterback with one of his first 4 picks? And he did do that in this draft with his pick at 6.
Oh, sorry, with the 16, yeah.
Yeah, like would he have considered Lamar at the 3-4 turn?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, then he did the right thing by taking Lamar over a Breece Hall or an Amarian Hampton, somebody like that in round 3. Okay, just curious. That's an example of knowing who you're drafting with. And
all right, let's go to Dan's team.
Dan goes and takes somebody that Heath would have taken.
Dan takes Nico Collins and Amon-Ra St. Brown with his first 2 picks, then Breece Hall, then Marvin Harrison Jr. So heavy on wide receiver, Nico, St. Brown, Breece Hall, Marvin Harrison Jr. You heard Jamie say, let's have fun with it and take 4 wide receivers, take JSN instead of Breece Hall and go Nico, St. Brown, JSN, Marvin Harrison Jr. But he goes Nico, Amon-Ra, Breece Hall, Marvin Harrison Jr. Then the next 2 picks are super interesting. Could have taken David Montgomery, could have taken Teddarrell McMillan. I don't think he likes to be called Tet. Jordan Addison, Jamison Williams, Chris Godwin, Calvin Ridley, Cooper Kupp, Jalen Waddle, Ricky Pearsall, Isaiah Pacheco, Caleb Johnson, George Pickens, all these guys. He takes Sam Laporta and he takes Patrick Mahomes. And in many ways, it feels like those picks are going to make or break his team at the 5-6 turn. Sam Laporta, Patrick Mahomes. Jamie, did you like those 2 picks?
No, and neither did Dan.
Oh, no?
No, he immediately regretted it.
And good. It's a learning experience. What do we not like about it?
I just think that there's too much volatility with those 2 guys, given what we saw last year for Laporta and the last 2 years for Mahomes. I don't want to take both those guys. And so especially if you just look at the previous turn that he had also, there's a lot of volatility with Hall and Harrison. And so it's there's huge upside, obviously. But I think just knowing not that he went safe with his first 2 picks, but those are pretty safe first 2 picks of Nico Collins and Amon-Ra St. Brown. They should be awesome, top 5 caliber wide receivers. Not a lot of downside potentially, barring injury. It just feels pretty solid there. So you can maybe play with that a little bit in terms of, okay, I could take some chances on some spots. And look, Breece Hall is going to be a little polarized to some people. Obviously, Harrison is as well. I just think if you're going to commit to tight end and wide receiver, tight end and quarterback with those 2 spots, I want slam dunks, and I don't think those guys are slam dunks.
My question though is, agree with everything you said, but are there any slam dunks that he could have taken? Who would you have taken instead of Laporta and Mahomes after starting Nico, St. Brown, Breece Hall, Marvin Harrison? What would your next 2 picks have been?
I would have probably taken Jamison Williams with one of those 2 picks just to get that 3rd receiver and lock that up. And then if you want to take one of those other 2 guys, I'm fine with it. I just wouldn't have taken both.
Well, yeah, that would have been his 4th receiver, and he already had St. Brown. So does that change the equation?
Maybe. So could be.
But he took Laporta. They're on the same team.
It's true. he could have taken Godwin if, this was before he was placed on the pup list. Could have taken Ridley. Could have taken, Waddle. There's lots of different routes, Pickens. There's lots of receivers that were available, I think, that fit in that category. Or taking Montgomery.
Yeah. I wouldn't have a problem taking Montgomery and St. Brown on the same fantasy team.
Yep.
Not sure I'd have a problem taking St. Brown and Jameson Williams on the same fantasy team.
Yeah. But would you take all three? That's an interesting choice.
Who's the third, Laporta or Montgomery?
Montgomery and Jameson Williams. Like I have those two guys ranked ahead of Laporta.
That feels a little rich.
Yeah.
I think he was in a tough spot personally. I didn't think there was a layup slam dunk pick there. At 60 and 61. Do you feel that way, Dave? Like he goes to Laporta and Mahomes. Did you feel like there was an obvious pick he should have made instead of those two?
I probably would have taken a running back there. I don't think I would have taken Mahomes. There are definitely too many other players that I would have taken. I think I'm looking at my rankings as I say this. I think my top two rated players were Montgomery and Travis Hunter.
Oh.
And I think I would have taken those two guys. Judy would have been a consideration at that point.
Travis Hunter. When did Travis Hunter go?
Hunter was gone.
Oh, he was gone. He was gone way before that.
Oh, he was? Okay. Then what do I know? Judy was too. So I'm sorry. I was looking at the
take hate. Oh, damn it.
Look at you messing up the show again. Montgomery. So if Hunter's gone, then my next available would have been Jameson.
All right.
That would have been a lot of Lions.
So how did Dan's team turn out? Patrick Mahomes and Sam Laporta. Those are his only quarterbacks and tight ends. Breece Hall, Tyrone Tracy, Tank Bigsby, Rico Dowdle. Yikes.
Yeah. I'm making a face like someone cut a fart hearing this.
This is not
Montgomery would make this team a lot better.
Yeah.
Taking Montgomery instead of Laporta or Mahomes.
Nico Collins, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Marvin Harrison. That's the strength of the team right there.
Yeah,
Jaden Reed, Keon Coleman, Marvin Mims, Jack Besh, and DeAndre Hopkins. Maybe take a handcuff running back instead of one of those wide receivers at the end. Give yourself a chance.
Could have had Braylon Allen. Would have made some sense for Breece Hall.
Well, that's it for today's show. Big day today. Dave, how old are you?
I'm telling people I'm 50.
He's telling people he's 50, in case you couldn't hear. Jamie, how old is Dave?
How old is Dave?
Yeah.
He's not 50.
I think you're 49. No, I think you're 48.
I was yesterday.
Oh, man. Thanks for hanging out with us on your birthday, buddy. Enjoy it. Have an awesome day. And next year we'll plan something big. A lot of balloons.
Oh, great.
He loves balloons.
Oh, yeah. Jamie knows how much I love having balloons and all kinds of BS on my desk and stuff. So
Can we tell that story again? It has been told in a while.
Go ahead and plan that. No, you're telling that story if anybody's telling that story.
So me and one of our former coworkers, Mike Friedman, who Adam loves, we made a balloon arch for Dave. Sorry, I hit the microphone. Balloon arch for Dave above his desk, and printed a bunch of pictures of Dave's face and put them on the balloons, and we put them all over the office. And Dave used to hate his birthday. I don't know what changed, but he used to hate his birthday. And he came in the office and he saw it and he went absolutely nuts.
Oh, I lost my. I can't say the words. Then you'll have to edit the show. But
I will. Let's see if you can see the picture.
I went ape poop. You have the picture?
Of course, I have the picture. I send it on your birthday every day. I send it to the text chain with Mike.
Like I know you've got the best memory of anybody I know, but the fact that you've got all.
Oh my gosh!
Okay,
look at that.
They totally over decorated my. This is back when we had desks.
Yeah.
Totally over went crazy. You put stuff everywhere. I'm just so pissed off. By the way, my desk was so messy back then. It was terrible.
We put pictures of Dave in his drawers. So like when he opened his drawers, there was his face.
Yeah. Like you really violated my personal space.
Jamie, remember when we used to have desks?
Yeah.
Back in the day. All right. See y'all tomorrow with the mailbag on Fantasy Football Today. And we'll have FFT Express for you coming up now if you're watching live. See ya.